High School Annual Veterans Day Program. Today we gather as a community to honor and celebrate the brave people who have served in our armed forces. We're grateful for your sacrifices and your dedication that allow us to enjoy the freedoms of our country. Today we offer you a most heartfelt thank you for your service. Thank you to everyone in the audience for being present today to show support. We hope you all enjoy the program. Now, please stand for the posting of the colors and then join me in reciting the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please join the LPA middle and high school choirs in singing the Star Spangled Banner under the direction of Mr. Johnson. At this time, we will be observing a moment of silence. The moment is meant for us to reflect on the service of veterans, past and present, and to recognize their sacrifices. selection by the LPA choir of students, entitled Song of the Unsung Hero. When My Country 'Tis of Thee is sung during this selection, please feel free to join us in singing. After the selection, our social studies educators will provide us with a brief history on the history of Veterans Day.
Good morning, everyone, and happy Veterans Day. For those of you who don't know us, I am Mr. Kangas. This is Mr. Rousseau and Mrs. Mindel. We make up the social studies department here at Lake Park Autumn High School. The three of us feel extremely honored to be invited to speak at the Veterans Day program every year. I will be providing a brief history for you about Veterans Day. Mrs. Mindel will be sharing a veteran story from World War II, and Mr. Wissell will be reading a poem titled The Noble and the Brave. On today's date, 107 years ago, World War I ended due to an armistice or ceasefire. This happened at 11 a.m. on November 11, 1918. Also known as the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month. By the end of the war, Europe was carved up by trenches all the way from neutral Switzerland up to the English Channel. Our best estimates tell us that after the war, there were about 20 million deaths on all sides, and about 21 million wounded. Truly, the war to end all wars, as it was called. With new and improved technology, warfare was vastly different and more deadly than the centuries before, causing the soldiers that made it back to their home countries to deal with not only physical wounds, but emotional wounds as well. On the first anniversary of the armistice in 1919, President Woodrow Wilson proclaimed the day a national holiday, calling it Armistice Day, in honor of those who served. In 1954, under President Dwight D. Eisenhower, the name was changed from Armistice Day to Veterans Day to celebrate veterans from all wars. The purpose of Veterans Day is to pay tribute to all American veterans, living or dead, but especially to give thanks to living veterans who have served their country honorably. The United States is not the only country that celebrates such a day. Numerous countries celebrate a version of Veterans Day, which many call Remembrance Day. In the United States, specifically, Veterans Day is celebrated in many ways. There is an official wreath-laying ceremony held at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier at Arlington National Cemetery every year. And there are many celebrations, parades, and programs like ours held around the country. On behalf of our Social Studies Department and the Lake Park Autumn School District, we would like to extend our most sincere thank you to all those who have served their country in our armed forces, and to all those who are currently serving. To help us honor those individuals, Mrs. Mindel will now tell us a veteran's story.
Thank you, Mr. Kangas. This year, it is my honor to share the story of Dory Miller, who served his country during World War II. Dory Miller enlisted in the U.S. Navy in September 1939, just before his 20th birthday. At that time, the U.S. Navy was racially segregated, and African American sailors were limited to certain roles, such as mess attendants and stewards. Miller was assigned to the battleship USS West Virginia, and on the morning of December 7th, 1941, he was collecting laundry below decks when the Japanese attacked the harbor. His assigned battle station had been destroyed by a torpedo, so he went up to the deck and reported himself available for duty. He helped carry several wounded sailors to safety, including the ship's commanding officer, Captain Mervyn Benyon, who had been mortally wounded. Despite not being trained for combat gunnery, Miller went to an unattended 50 caliber anti-aircraft machine gun and fired at attacking Japanese planes, shooting down multiple until he had no ammunition left and he was ordered to abandon the ship. For his extraordinary courage and disregard for his own personal safety during the attack at Pearl Harbor, Miller was awarded the Navy Cross on May 27, 1942, making him the first African-American sailor to receive that honor. On November 24th, 1943, while serving aboard the escort carrier USS Liscombe Bay during the Gilbert Islands campaign in the Pacific, Miller was killed in action when the ship was hit by a Japanese torpedo and sank. he was 24 years old. Millen's actions embody self-sacrifice, courage under fire, and the willingness to jump to action even when not trained for it. His story reminds us of the many veterans who served bravely despite their roles or limitations placed on them. His service highlights heroism and how heroism is not exclusive to just one set of people. Today we honor those like Dory Miller who gave the ultimate sacrifice on our behalf. We will forever remain indebted to them, but on this day every year, we do our absolute best to honor them. And to help us in this effort, Mr. Wissel will now read a poem titled The Noble and the Brave, a Veterans Day Tribute.
When America had an urgent need, these brave ones raised a hand. No hesitation held them back. They were proud to take a stand. They left their friends and family. They gave up normal life to serve their country and their God. They plowed into the strife. They fought for freedom and for peace on strange and foreign shores. Some lost new friends. Some lost their lives in long and mortal wars. Other veterans answered a call to support the ones who fought. Their country had requirements for the essential skills they brought. We salute every one of them, the noble and the brave, the ones still with us here today, and the ones who rest in the grave. So here's to our country's heroes that are cut above the rest. Let's give the honor that is due to our country's very best.
Please welcome our 9th through 12th principal, Mr. Meyer, to the podium at this time to introduce our honorary guest speaker.
Good morning, students, staff, guests. A special welcome and thank you to our veterans. Our speaker today is a familiar face, Zach Pretty. Many of you know him as a therapist here at the middle school and high school from Stellar Human Services. What you may not know is that Zach served 6 years in the Army National Guard, joining right after high school. He began as a surgical technician and later served in the medic with the 18th in Wilson, North Dakota. His path has always been one of service. While in the Guard, he also worked as an EMT for the Wilson Fire Department. He then spent 15 years as a surgical tech before transitioning into his current role as a mental health professional. From training and working with soldiers as a medic, to assisting civilization as a EMT and surgical tech, to supporting our students today. His career has been dedicated to helping people. Please welcome Mr. Zach Pretty.
I will start with thank you for your service to all the veterans that are here. I am nervous as all get out for this. Most of you know me as Zach. I've never really been a fan of my last name. I mean, it's cool, whatever, Pretty, but please don't call me Mr. Pretty. It just doesn't seem as tough. You usually find me in the hall or in my office, and I'll try to help when things get hard. And in that job, my service is to you, to be here for the mental and emotional well-being here in this school. I remember as a student in high school, I never thought that I would ever be in a school working. I was not the greatest student. I barely graduated high school. I dropped out at one point, finally went back and finished. But today, I'm here and I'm going to tell you the story of what happened when I joined. I left for basic training right after high school, and I still remember the day that I knew I was going to join the military. It was etched in my mind. I had always wanted to join the military. As a young kid, I always thought it was so cool listening to the stories about my great-grandfather and how he was a medic in the military. He was in the Army. He fought in World War II. And he received the Bronze Star Medal for valor because he drove up the hill in France under fire in his ambulance and rescued several soldiers that were under fire. And that story was always inspiring to me. And on September 11th, 2001, I was 14 years old, and on that day, I remember being woken up by my grandmother saying, "There's planes flying around, crashing into buildings." And as I learned about it, I knew I was going to join the military. The wars in Iraq and Afghanistan lasted over 20 years and produced many casualties. I know Veterans Day, we're here for Veterans Day, and Memorial Day is different, and we remember those who have lost their lives on Memorial Day. But Veterans Day is for everyone who wore the uniform, the living, the retired, those in wartime and peacetime. But the reason we honor them is because every single one of them, on the day they signed their contract, was willing to make the same sacrifice as those that we honor on Memorial Day. They were all willing to live by the words of John 15:13. It says, "No one has greater love than this, to lay down his life for his friends." Veterans Day is to honor the willingness of millions to put their lives on hold and online for this country. Veterans Day is for everyone who wore the uniform, the living, the retired, those who served in wartime and those who served in peacetime. Today to honor the willingness of millions of people that put their lives on hold and on the line for this country. For me, that service started as a surgical tech. And then as a medic, my entire military training and everything that I learned was about helping people. To be there on the worst day of their lives and to make it better. Mr. Meyer mentioned that I had served with the 818 Engineer Company in Williston. When I was in the Guard, I learned that your unit isn't just a bunch of people that you work with, they're your family. You spend years training with them, trusting them with your life. And today I think of several. I posted a picture on Facebook of some of the medics that I was serving with, and I miss those people. They were like family. They were my friends. My 6 years in it, I transitioned out. I kept living my life. I was working as a surgical tech. I was building a family. But the unit, their family, those people, they continued on. The story continued without me. A year after I left, they were deployed to Afghanistan. I'm sorry if my eyes start to sweat as I read this next part. Sometime in 2012, late in 2012, I was on my way to work, and I was listening to the radio, and I'll never forget. They said two North Dakota soldiers had lost their lives, and they said their names. Sergeant First Class Darren Lindy. He was my platoon sergeant, a leader, a husband, and a father. Specialist Tyler Orgard. He was a young soldier full of potential. I did not know him. He was a part of the unit after I left. These weren't just names. These were my people. These were the men that I had trained with, the men that I was supposed to be there for. Veterans Day comes around often, and I feel an overwhelming sense of guilt. My first feeling that night was shock. My second feeling was I was supposed to be there. I was the medic, I was their medic. My job was to be there for them, and I wasn't. Sure, someone else was, but I know that my story today would be different if I had been there. My story may not even be spoken if I had been. This is the part of service that often is not talked about in movies, the invisible wounds. Mr. Kangas, you mentioned what comes back with soldiers. I was never deployed. On Veterans Day, often when they would ask for veterans to stand, I often never would stand. And in my mind, I would say, I'll sit for the veterans who can't stand. Today it's an honor to be able to stand up here and to tell the story. You see, for many veterans, the battle never ends. They leave the war zone, but the war zone never leaves them. They carry it with them. They're still fighting a battle, but now they're fighting it alone inside their heads. And that battle is devastating. Right now in the United States, we lose an average of 17 veterans every single day to suicide. They didn't die on the battlefield, but they are casualties of the battle just the same. They are the soldiers who have never left the battle, but they were left behind. The guilt that I carry is not something that I just get over, but it's something I use. It is a huge part of why I'm standing here today, not just as a veteran, but as a therapist. My service didn't end, it changed. I went from being a medic for soldiers to professional focused on helping with their invisible wounds. I'm thankful for my service. I loved every minute of it, and often I miss it. So this Veterans Day, when you see a veteran, yes, please say thank you for your service. But I want to challenge you to make those words mean something more, because words can be cheap. Our actions speak volumes. If you really want to honor a veteran, don't just thank them. Create a community right here in this school where it's okay to not be okay. Honor them by understanding that the person sitting next to you, a veteran, a classmate, might be fighting a battle that you can't see. Honor them by being a person who listens, who reaches out, and who understands that asking for help isn't weakness. It's the bravest thing a soldier or student can ever do. This Veterans Day, let's thank those who served, and let's honor the living by fighting for them. One of the most important things that we can do in our community is create a culture that it is okay to get help. 17.6 suicides per day is not okay. It speaks to the deeper issues in our society. If we're going to be a community that supports veterans, then hear them, listen to them, but also be willing to get help, to walk with them down the path. Let's fight to end the stigma around mental health and promise to be there for each other. This is how we all serve. You may not wear a uniform, but each of you has a task to do. Thank you for the opportunity to speak and to share my story. I'm thankful for every veteran that's in here today. I thank you for your service, the battle you fought, and the battles you continue to fight. Thank you.
Thank you, Zach. At this time, we would like to take a moment to thank and recognize our LPA staff veterans. Your courage, sacrifice, and commitment to protecting our freedoms inspire us every day. We're truly grateful for your service to our country and the example that you set for students as members of our school. Please join me in giving a heartfelt round of applause again to Jim Risland, Jim Prindle, and Zach Reed. band will now be performing the Armed Forces Salute. This song is a medley of the official songs from the branches of our armed forces. Veterans, when you hear your branch's song, please feel free to stand. Please stand for the retiring of the colors. Afterwards, please. Thank you for attending the 2025 Veterans Day program. After my announcement is over, I would like to request that all 9 through 12 students and staff return to their 4th hour classes. Middle schoolers should report to their music and leadership classes. Middle school band students can go and remain in the theater. Middle school choir students head to Mr. Johnson's room. Any and all veterans are welcome to join us for cookies and refreshments just outside the theater doors in the commons. I'd like to remind students that they are not for us. Thank you once again for attending our program, and I hope that everybody has a fantastic day.